Money and Happiness. Chapter 1. Money and Happiness. The need for money operates by the law of diminishing returns. Getting more money to go from poverty to middle class will greatly increase your happiness, but getting more money to get you from middle class to upper class will reach a critical point where money cannot make you happier. Beyond basic comfort, there are other things beyond money you need in order to be happy, like the pursuit of inspiration and transcendence and getting some love in your life. Despite these facts, a lot of people knock themselves out trying to get more money than they'll ever need. It won't make you happier. You might think it will, but it won't. Think of drinking cocktails, eating ice cream cones, or owning cars. The first one is great, the second is good, the third is alright, but after that, your increase in happiness level with each succeeding one goes down until it reaches zero. There are only so many consumer needs you can buy. Once you buy everything you want, you need to look elsewhere for happiness. And remember, you can't buy people, true love, or friendship. You can buy fair weather friends and lovers very easily, but when your money runs out, they're gone. Life is a balancing act. Prosperity knits a man to the world. He thinks he's finding his place in it, while really it is finding its place in him. C.S. Lewis. Obsession with money is hell. Living in an artistic dream world away from capitalist reality is also hell, so do yourself a favor. Read my books in order to help you get some control of your life, because I was once a bumbling idiot thinking I was living a cool life, probably like you are now, but I had to learn to educate myself to deal with my life, so I went off and pursued this as part of my artistic vision, that knowledge is power, but only if it's real. Before then, I lived the hippie, free-spirited lifestyle for a while and realized it didn't work if I had to constantly worry about money, so the solution is to be grounded in reality before you go off pursuing fanciful flights of your artistic visions, but don't be a desperado about it, sacrificing everything for the pursuit of money. Money is the only thing that talks in a capitalist world. Ideals are useless if you can barely get enough money together to eat. Don't be a simpleton and renounce the real world for your ideals, and don't be hypocrite and sell your soul for money. Take a middle ground approach where you keep your soul intact and earn some money to live in the real world without having to be a starving artist and end up like Van Gogh, stabbing himself because he was so poor. He got down on himself and all of a sudden, his 900 or so paintings couldn't help him keep living because he didn't even have the basics of material security covered and felt like a scumbag leeching off his brother Theo, who had a family to support. Use money as a means to improve your quality of life and give you the opportunities to do what you really want to do with your life, but don't become its slave, sacrificing all your time to work for it just to live some illusory lifestyle you don't really need. Live a balanced life. Don't let the pursuit of money and material things for their own sake take away from the inspired, sensual, loving pursuit that your life should really be about. Some people say they only figure out the true meaning of life when something happens that money can't help, like a terminal disease, or when they lose it all and are left with only themselves, the pure person looking back at them in the mirror without all the accoutrements of the money. Books about the spiritual aspects of money are at #291.56 or BL65. Money to fill an empty soul. Money cannot buy inner peace, inspiration, health, happiness, or love. People will do anything for money, even demean themselves greatly. The religion of modern-day capitalist society is material things, not just functional material things one needs to sustain himself through life, even if it is top of the line. I believe people who earn lots of money are entitled to buy the best things that they need to get through life if they can afford it and want to spend the money. If you need a car and you can afford the best, why not? My problem with the culture I live in is twofold. People sacrifice the free exploration and the free living of their lives there for the natural development of their spiritual aesthetic selves in order to work a job to earn money to buy things they don't really need, but they're doing it because they have been brainwashed by the capitalist ideology. There is a pop culture cool and status standard implicitly thrust on us by corporate forces that try to get us all hooked on trying to be cool, pop culture clones and yuppies as advanced by TV commercials, TV shows, movies, etc. Trying to be important by achieving a certain level of career and materialistic success which a lot of people buy into, thus destroying the free pursuit of their lives. A wise person is smart enough to strive to earn enough money to sustain himself and strive to save enough for his or her future security, but you cross the line when buy things you don't really need because it either gives you a temporary psychological lift, the "I have arrived, I'm successful" syndrome, makes you feel like you belong to the elite group of humanity, or fills up an otherwise empty soul that doesn't realize the key to happiness is to live by your own inspiration. So what you have done when you live like this is that you have sold your soul on an unconscious level to live by the capitalist world you're surrounded by. There are several types of money addictions. The person who thinks that buying things will make him or her feel good, make them feel important, make them feel superior to others, make them feel some emptiness they feel way down deep. They often live on credit, spending more than they have. Some are thieves/shoplifters/kleptomaniacs who like the thrill of getting something for nothing, even if it's a useless trinket they have no use for. The guy or girl who measure their value as individuals and the value of others by their material worth. Money is their scorecard of life. They become obsessed with constantly earning more and measure everybody else in a silent competition they have with the world as to who has the most money and stuff, the bigger house, better car, etc. They're usually workaholics, stock market traders, and the types always scheming about how to make more money. The person who thinks that money will solve all their problems, so they play the lotteries and dream big about a big score that will change their lives, which won't happen to 98% of them, and even if they win all that money, they will still be the same generic, uninspired duds they are now. The miser who ties his worth to his stash. He probably works hard but is very thrifty because he's chronically insecure and has some guilt complex from somewhere about spending money uselessly. This person is obsessed with saving money and being frugal to the point of absurdity. The easiest way to spot a money addict is to see someone who has no real connection to who they are as individuals in the spiritual sense. They might be fashionable, have a nice car, be a great worker, but they don't know what their true essence is as a human being and don't do anything to stay close to the center, which should be to use up the natural energy inside to stay naturally inspired about their lives. The classic mental illness of money is to get caught in the trap of constantly needing more money and consumer goods in order to feel good about yourself, because the other parts of your life, which are what's really important in living a good life, natural inspiration, sensual pleasure, romantic love, love of your family, are sorely lacking. So you acquire money and spend thinking it will fill you up somehow, since that's what the images on TV say, that if you make money and buy a lot of things with it, you will be happy, but it's a superficial existence. If you're a superficial person, it might give you that superficial kind of happiness I sometimes see with low-level people who are doing nothing with their lives anyway, so when they get a windfall like winning the lottery, they will go out and buy useless things and think they're happy, but they have never felt the rush of a spiritually inspired moment in their lives and never will, so ultimately they're losers regardless of all the crap they fill their homes up with. This line of thinking can move into anxiety and obsession, much like an obsessive-compulsive person or a kleptomaniac, someone who feels they must steal things. When you cross the line from trying to live a fun, interesting life to the pursuit of money and material things for their own sake, you have just lost the spirit of what your life was created for and are doomed to live a life of neurosis, never being satisfied because you will always be thinking you need more money and things to be truly happy. Acquiring material things by going out shopping is the drug, and people get hooked on it to get the rush of going to the mall, looking at a bunch of new-looking, prettily packaged material goods, getting all excited, buying something which makes them feel good for a few minutes, then in about an hour, the thrill is gone because the entire obsession is not based on something substantial from the soul. These people are addicted to this ritual until and unless they reach a point that they know material things will never make them happy, so they can get rid of most of the stuff except for the functional things and focus on the other more spiritual and sensual aspects of their lives. Just like some people use money and material things as the scorecard for their happiness, there are another group of neurotic people who have the exact opposite problem. They're obsessed with being bargain hunters, penny pinchers, clipping coupons, looking for discounts, saving what they can by driving all over the city to get the sales based on the ads in the newspaper. When you spend more time looking for sales than what the sales are worth based on the amount of time taken in the pursuit, you're just another neurotic person with another type of wasteful mental illness. Another mental illness associated with the love of money is status and power. A lot of people not stable as individuals within themselves might work their butts off at something and essentially destroy whatever pure love or inspiration for life they might have in their souls to be materialistic show-offs, to go around wearing the trendiest clothes, the expensive watches, drive a nice car, get a house in the right neighborhood, all to try to show others how successful and great they are. But the thing is, when you live like this, the only one you're fooling is you, because all these things are frivolous and superficial. They don't penetrate into the core of life, which is to live by whatever inspiration you might feel in your soul. But all this stuff is disposable stuff that doesn't go anywhere near there. Granted, we all have egos to some extent, especially if we live in a capitalist culture where we're brainwashed to try to look like successful yuppies in TV commercials. To aspire to a comfortable lifestyle with some disposable income is fine, but if it gets to the point where you're doing it to try to fill up an otherwise empty life or to try to impress others, you're missing the point of life and destroying yours. A lot of lost souls aren't even wealthy but have good credit ratings, so they use their credit to give themselves the illusion of yuppie grandeur while putting themselves in deep debt and neglecting the true purpose of life, which is to explore your life to feel the person you feel you should be in your soul. Somebody said the more we're concerned with money and the accumulation of material things, the more we lose our natural sex drives. This is probably because of the energy and stress it takes out of us. The sex drive is probably your highest source of pleasure in life. If you replace it with an anxiety about money and things, you have lost the game. Heal by realizing that money and material things are necessary to sustain your life, but everything else is frivolous delusion that only detracts from the true purpose of life, which is to be a whole human being by releasing the energy you feel in your soul. Acquiring a lot of material things you don't need and striving to acquire more money than you will ever need is a waste, both materially because it's a violation of the human spirit for one to hoard all he can which he will never use while others nearby are in such great need. Spiritually because all this stuff takes away from living a freely inspired life true to who you are in your soul. Action in living your life is what really matters, not material things and money just for show. My life karma. Happiness resides not in possessions and not in gold. The feeling of happiness dwells in the soul. Democritus. No one cares how you got rich as long as you're rich, so they can get a piece of it one way or another. Don't let your possessions possess you. I never go shopping for recreation's sake. When I need something, I go to the exact store, buy it and leave. But recently I was driving someone around as a favor because she wanted to buy vinyl tiles for her kitchen floor. I thought it would take an hour at the most, but when all was said and done, it took over 3.5 hours and 6 stores. She wasn't satisfied with what they had at any store, so we kept going to different stores until I couldn't take it anymore, took her to the last store, didn't go in with her, then didn't say a word to her on the way back. I was so mad that she wasted 3 hours of my life because she couldn't pick out which style of tile to pick out, when to me it's like, who cares? A tile is a tile. I should be thankful to have tiles, not a dirt floor, without going through hundreds of samples to pick one out. And while I was at these home improvement and flooring stores, I saw all these other people around buying junk they don't need. I know why our societies are screwed. Everybody's so brainwashed into looking for happiness through meaningless material goods. The main idea behind excessive materialism, which is buying things beyond needs, is that you have an empty soul. You're buying to fill an emotional void, to make you feel good for a minute or two. There's something missing in your life whereby you're not living an inspired lifestyle that keeps you happy within yourself or you don't feel loved enough. So one of the ways you fill up this emptiness is to buy useless crap, because it helps give you a momentary, transient tingle, but ultimately does not solve the problem of the empty soul. There is also the status trap, which is essentially the more money you make, the more you spend. This is why you can live on almost nothing as a poor student, but then 5 years later, when you're making $100,000 a year, you're still struggling financially because you have bought a lot of things you don't need and live an expensive standard of living. The solution is simple. Always live below your means. Just because you make more money, don't necessarily buy a bigger house, a bigger car or more useless things. Don't have more kids than you afford. You don't really need much. Most of the stuff you own is extra stuff you don't really need. You could get by in a smaller house or smaller apartment. You should see the story of my life. As a typical creative type, I've been poor and I've been rich, and through it all, my consciousness nor my material possessions barely changed because my life is lived through inspired aesthetic sensual spiritual loving action, not through possessions or status. It's nice not to have to worry about getting a root canal or buying a car, but beyond that, money has no meaning to me in how I try to live a highly inspired life. There is a disease of consumerism in America. Kids and young people in general are especially stricken by it because they want to be looked upon as cool and trendy, but it's all a lie because your happiness is within you, not in what you wear, what you own or what other people think of you. Open your eyes. Look at all the frivolous, useless stuff in your house. Look at the size of your house, then think of the poor people in the world. I have lived like a lower middle class person most of my life, not necessarily because I was poor but because I have no need to live above that standard and I simply have this intrinsic enomicity for material excess. My happiness comes from the inspired act of living, not from what materialistic things I'm surrounded by. Money is simple. There are no excuses. Don't spend it on useless things even if you got it because there's a law of nature and karma that says don't take more than you need. If you violate the law, you dishonor a great law of life in the universe. This is why I'm always in balance with my life. I don't buy into the capitalist materialistic lie being promoted all around in advertisements. We seem to think that fun comes from spending money on pop culture entertainment. To me, fun comes from an intense release of creative, sensual, or physical energy. I love to do this so much. It makes me feel great, yet very few people are tuned into this way of being. It's much better than going to some movie, baseball game, or playing some video game. I don't even like to sit in restaurants. It wastes my time, I'm not in control of the food or the portions, and I'm not comfortable like I am at home. I usually eat when I'm laying in bed at the end of the day relaxing. It's not that I'm cheap or antisocial. I just don't like restaurants. If you need to cut down on your spending, that's one easy way to start: eat at home. Money/shopping addiction/compulsive buying disorder. Don't let your possessions possess you. The main idea behind luxury shopping, which is shopping for things beyond needs, is that you have an empty soul. You're buying to fill an emotional void, to make you feel good for a minute or two. There's something missing in your life whereby you're not living an inspired lifestyle that keeps you happy within yourself or you don't feel loved enough. So one of the ways you fill up this emptiness is you buy useless crap because it helps you, gives you a momentary, transient tingle, but ultimately does not solve the problem of the empty soul. According to the book The High Price of Materialism by Tim Kasser, materialistic people are less honest, less ethical than other people, and less interested in personal relationships with other people. The more concerned you are with wealth, the less happier you'll be, and the more likely you'll be stressed out and depressed over a lifetime, because ultimately, these things can't satisfy the deep spiritual things you need to give you a solid sense of identity and peace about yourself. Be happy with what you got right now. The capitalist ideology always wants us to reach for something more, a bigger house, newer car, more stuff, but the happiest people are those at peace with the lives they're living without aspiring for more consumer goods or a promotion at work to make more money to buy more goods. Money is not the solution to a happy life, it's having a feeling within that you're living the life you were born to live by purging the natural inspired potential in your soul. The symbols of success in a capitalist world are to have lots of money, a big house, and own lots of material things. While these are good things to have to enhance the quality of your life, your real worth comes from your ability to do soulful pursuits to keep yourself inspired day after day. This type of lifestyle hasn't changed for me through the different cycles I went through being both poor and wealthy. Money is good to free my mind from the obsession of earning enough so that I don't have to worry about it, but I still live in a pretty small bedroom with bare walls and no home decor, just like I did when I was a hippie artist living a free life, and I don't feel any different inside just because I have more money. The challenge for me has always been to honor my intuitive inner standard regardless of whether I'm materially rich or poor. The money is nice because I can buy what I want when I want, but the truth is that the only time I was in a shopping mall in the past 3 years was when I got my eyes tested. I don't need much. I wear the same clothes year after year. If my sneakers work, I don't have to bother buying a new pair. I don't believe in home decor or most of the other things people buy to outfit their homes to reach some illusory standard of capitalist success. I have very few tools because I have no interest in that home improvement crap so many people seem to think enhances their lives. I don't want to harp it on here except to say that I believe the corporate pop culture agenda of the media, in particular TV, is subtly designed to make people feel deficient and jealous of all the material wealth they see on all the stupid programs, so they give up their hearts and souls to try to reach the standard of material success when they don't realize the key to life is to enjoy the journey through inspired action in both noble soulful pursuits and the pursuit of carnal hedonistic pleasures. These are action things you do through sustained movement day after day. They have very little to do with how big your house is, how many things you own, or what kind of car you drive, yet how many people live by this ideology? Not very many. I lived with the bare bone basics for a long time. It's just naturally the way I live. Since I'm against the materialistic pop culture ideology beyond the financial freedom to enable me to live a good life, not acquire a bunch of stupid things I'll never use, my life is fairly simple, hassle-free, and I have few worries. I'm the type of guy who hates distractions so much that I prefer a small house with a small yard because it means I don't have to mow the lawn, clean it up, shovel snow, etc., which is counterintuitive to the materialistic ideology of always gunning for a bigger house. The only thing I gun for is to stay inspired and enjoy my life. There's no agenda to acquire a bunch of stuff, live in a big house, get a swimming pool in my backyard, etc. If I can't swim in a natural body of water, forget it. There are a lot of people out there either brainwashed by the system to pursue material success as the key to happiness, or with lost souls where they essentially don't know who they are, what their identities are that they were born with in their souls, and what they feel they should naturally do with their lives, so they compensate for this emptiness within by going out and buying a bunch of things to feel like they're successful by society's standards and give themselves a rush for a minute or two, but it never works because you're not dealing with the problem of a bleeding soul. I know the shopping malls are filled every Saturday afternoon while I'm off outdoors somewhere doing one of my particular soulful pursuits. I shouldn't judge other people, but I can make the comment that I feel as though I live in a lost society because so many people tie their happiness to what they own materially. A lot of people, particularly girls, have a disease of excess where they'll own a huge room full of clothes, maybe 100 pair of shoes or so, all the while knowing there's some kid in Africa who barely owns one pair of worn-out shoes, yet all these materialistic addicted people think they're pretty cool, trendy, nice, good people while they live these lives of frivolous excessive waste, which strikes me as morally wrong in the karma spirit of life, yet this is the hypocrisy I see all the time. Which is why I'm somewhat contemptuous of the society I live in. Don't get me wrong, I like what our society has spawned in creating an abundance of material things at relatively low prices, but I only take what I need and don't waste money on buying useless things I'll never use, or giving into the fashion sense of frivolity by buying oodles of clothes just because I can afford them. It's all wrong to me that anyone could callously spend $50 on another article of clothing to add to their already overflowing collection when that money would help some poor native survive for a month elsewhere. This is what gets me. All these frivolous people running around with nothing better to do than color their hair, read the tabloids, buy new clothes to look fashionable and try to act too cool, which is a worthless empty lifestyle to me, which is why I don't feel like the typical yuppie capitalist you might see walking around the mall. The modern era has spawned a large credit industry in order for these money lenders to make big profits by lending you money through credit cards and loans and charging you a high interest rate when you pay it off later. This credit system encourages an instant gratification mindset reinforced when we see all the material wealth on TV every night, so most of us want it all, want it now, like that song by the pop band Queen said, "I want it all, I want it now." The net result is a nation of people living with households full of things they don't really own. The bank still owns it and they'll be paying it off for the next several years. Many people fall into vicious cycles of depression over debt, so in order to make themselves feel good, they go out and buy something on a credit card to treat themselves, with the ultimate result that they're adding to their debt load and it never ends. They're in that work, eat, spend cycle of the rat race, right where the system wants them to be, good docile worker clone consumers constantly spending their money and working for it to pay their bills. It's a perfect way to control the masses, a modern-day version of Rome's bread and circuses. I saw a TV show about all these stupid consumers who said with pride how they spent 10 to 12 hours a day every day on eBay.com looking to buy and sell things and add to their collections of junk which they thought enhanced their lives somehow. Get a life. A Partridge Family lunchbox is a piece of pop culture trash. Anybody who gives it more value than that is a stupid lost soul who deserves the stupid mundane life they're living. The only way to get over it is to clean all the trivial material stuff out of your house, give it to charity if you must, or sell it at a yard sale. Then live a simple life, focus on whatever inspired potential you feel in your soul. Get rid of most of your credit cards except for one, pay off your debts as quickly as you can, live as frugally as you can, and focus on culturing an inspired life of soulful pursuits and sensuous pleasures which are mostly free, sex and love, and get away from materialist ideology thinking. Go bankrupt if you must, then your credit rating will be destroyed for 7 years or more, so you won't be able to borrow money, which will be a good thing to help you get away from the materialistic lifestyle. My relationship with money is to pursue it by working hard on my naturally inspired pursuits to create something useful that others will pay me for, to help me in my quest to live a long free life, financially free of worrying about it. I don't care if I live in a little shack in the low-class part of town as long as I got some electricity and running water. You really don't need much in order to live a pretty good life. Treatments are often used in conjunction with one another, usually several at a time, whatever works. The most common treatments are mental health drugs, counseling, support groups, meditation, positive thinking, prayer, journaling, exercise, nutrition, vitamin therapy, holistic methods. Books about addictions in general are at hashtag 616.86 or RC 564 at the library. Try hashtag 332.019, hashtag 332.4019 or HG221 to HG222 at the library for books about money as an addiction. ShopaholicsAnonymous.org. Addictions.com. Addictions.org. AdventConspiracy.org/spend-less, compassion for consumption at Christmas. Bankrate.com/BRM/news/PF/2006091901.ASP. CTS.com/habitsmrt. EmeraldCoast.com/shopping/articles.php?article =8040. Emofree.com. medicinenet.com/script/main/art.asp ?article key =35048. Newser.com/story/10225.html. samhsa.gov. stopaddiction.com. usefulnewsonline.com/category/anxiety-attack-resources. well.com/user/WOA. wsbtv.com/health/2386648/detail.html. Some people can't say no to shopping. Center for Addiction and Alternative Medicine Research. 914 South 8th Street, Minneapolis, Minnesota 55404. 612-347-7670. Fax, 612-347-7669. National Acupuncture. Detoxification Association. POG 1927. Vancouver, Washington, 98668-1927. 888-765 NADA. 360-260-8620. QTalks.com. Spender Menders. POG 15,000 to 156. San Francisco, California, 94115. 415-773-9754. Shopping addiction. Wealth, money or inner harmony. Virtue doesn't come from money, money comes from virtue. Plato's Apology. Money is one of those rare things where quantity is quality. Wealthy artist. The man who is richest is the one whose pleasures are the cheapest. Money is simply a medium of exchange for the things we need to get through life, like food, clothes, transportation, heat, security, and trivial amusements. Once it goes beyond this realm to the point where you use it for ego and or power, you're dead in water for the amount of true quality you have got in your life. Money is good to the extent that you can use it, take care of basic needs, and then to free yourself from the drudgery of day-to-day life to do other worthwhile things that focus on the inner self. Other than that, it's useless. I look around and see all these rich guys who buy expensive things that they will never really enjoy. They're all just showpieces. Credit card debt costs a lot of money. Do without rather than pay by credit. Avoid buying based on emotion to fill the emptiness you feel. Avoid buying based on hype. Don't rely on Social Security or your company's retirement plans. Save by yourself for yourself. If you use money to make up for things you lack in life, like character, inner conviction, a sense of identity, inspiration, personality, peace of mind, etc., you're again dead in the water, 'cause you're a fool who doesn't realize that the love of money is the root of all evil and a lot of emptiness. If you flaunt your material goods to impress other people, you're a lost soul. If you crave money and spend all your time in pursuit of it, you're lost in space. Money is a poor substitute for happiness. You don't have to give it away and live like a pauper, you just have to get your priorities straight, take care of your material needs, then spend less time concerned with it, balance your life and focus on the spiritual pursuit of inner harmony. What good is money if you can't enjoy it? We all want happiness and success, but most of us don't know what this means. My definition is to manipulate conditions to get enough money so that I can be totally free to continue on enjoying my adventure without worrying about bills or wasting time with anything I don't necessarily want to spend time with. If I were to become a rich man tomorrow, I'd buy a few creature comforts and that'd be it. It'd still be me doing almost exactly what I'm doing now, although in better surroundings in a tropical climate. Too many people confuse happiness with money. It's really all about using your time now wisely to enjoy yourself, because we will all get old and then it will be over regardless of the size of our bank accounts. The big question in our material world is, do large amounts of money lead to a qualitative leap in the mental/spiritual enjoyment of life? Is a billionaire that much more happier in his mind than I, as a middle-class guy, am in mine, or is he distracted from true freedom because he has complicated his life via the responsibility of managing his money and all the other egotistical accoutrements that go along with it, like his big house, his big car, his entourage, his plane, etc. I saw a rich guy build a huge pond in his yard and stock it with exotic fish that cost $1,000 each. Does this really make him happy, or is it just an empty testament to his success? Remember Ozymandias, the worn-down statue of a once great king in the middle of the desert. Even lawns are a hassle. Some guy from India who came over to America was amazed at how we wasted our good, fertile land for something so useless. For me, a lawn is just a hassle because it means I have to mow it. If I want to sit out in the sun, I need a 10x10 foot square and that's it. The rest is just a headache to me, which is the way I live. Many lost people with money use it to try to put forth an image about themselves so that others will perceive them as cool, rich, happening, or whatever, but it's all show and illusion. The amount of money people spend on status and image could probably solve all the world's problems, but in our capitalist society, They earned it, they're entitled to it even though deep down, they know that it's all a big, empty waste, kind of like F. Scott Fitzgerald's commentary on the emptiness of wealth in the novel The Great Gatsby. Many people with lots of money get stuck in cages of their own creation. They have to expend time and energy on dull things like business, investments, and bills. Their employees are all hired guns, so it's not exactly quality time with loved ones. To be totally free, you have to have the freedom to pursue your life unfettered, and that includes the objects of your creation. When you're done, you move on. You don't become attached to anything. Many creative people get bogged down with the business aspects of their work, then lose the enjoyment of it. Rich people have the freedom to cut out of life if they choose to, but it still doesn't solve the problem of you stuck with your brain every second of the waking day. If you're a real human being, sooner or later, you will end up bored, and you will have to find that connection to your soul if you want to get something out of life. Money is the most important thing if you don't have it. When you have it, it can be used to enhance your life within reasonable limits, but when it gets to the point of excessive absorption in the material things it can buy, you're caught in the trap of trying to find happiness through things, which is impossible. As a means to fulfillment, you never get there because you can't fill up the emptiness you feel inside with money or the things it can buy. All those divas we hear about who have 500 pairs of shoes or something like that give themselves away that they have big holes in their hearts by virtue of these actions. I'm not down on materialism. It's necessary and nice to enjoy some of the creature comforts, but when you use money to try to buy happiness, it won't work because you still have to live with yourself. Do you have money, or does money have you? Many rich people pay for their wealth by robbing their health and their souls. They destroy their health and then spend a fortune on doctors and head shrinks to try to get it back. I have seen lots of guys who started out as happy, energetic people only to get caught up in work and now seem dead or lost, caught up in a job and a family that keeps them spinning around on some treadmill that robs the life drive right out of them. The magic age seems to be around 32 or 33. Something happens to a lot of people around then. They slowly lose their spark of youth as they all converge to the stereotype of middle-age blandness, which equates to a boring job, a few extra pounds around the midriff, and the pursuit of creature comforts. Even sex goes. Even though these guys quietly hate what they have become, they accept it, don't have the guts to find their way back to the spark that they once knew, and quietly go off to the end as carnal consumers and the self-perception of themselves as successful people. But the problem is that success is defined by the system, not what they truly feel inside in their souls. Most wealthy people are like Sam Walton, quiet, unassuming people who didn't start out with the plan of making it big, but with the intention of starting a business that would help people by filling a real need they have. Because of hard work, good service, and good prices, over time, they develop a loyal customer base. But today, the youth of society, brainwashed by all the glitter of the media, want to get rich fast and live fast, which is why many fall prey to get-rich schemes and crash and burn in their attempts to start fly-by-night businesses which they think will bring them instant riches. The real world is not that simple or rose-colored. It's considerably tougher to make it big than the few flukes and lucky souls portrayed by the media. The rise of the internet showcased a few individuals who made it big fast, but didn't show all the other internet startups that could barely get off the ground even during the boom, the hard work behind it, nor the true intensity of the crash when the bubble finally burst. A few people luck out by catching the wave of a trend like exercise equipment in the 80s, but in a flash, you're faced with tons of competitors. So the way most people make it is to start a small business and provide good service in one small local area. Over time, then, if it works there, they expand. Wealthy people in general are ordinary people who made a lot of money through their own efforts, didn't inherit or win it, and don't live by the status of money. They still live basically the same way they did when they didn't have much money and were just starting their businesses. They get up every day and work hard for the craft and integrity of it, and don't get all caught up in the status or the material excess of their money. They don't flaunt it, they drive average cars, wear simple functional clothes, live in normal houses, and fly coach on the plane. Wealth is quality of life. There are basically two levels. Level 1 is the fantasy level of the lifestyles of the rich and famous, where you have enough money to fulfill any whim you want, a lifestyle currently reserved for maybe 0.01% of the population, or 1 in 10,000 people if that. Level 2 is the more realistic level of a materially comfortable lifestyle free from financial worry, as long as you're reasonably frugal and watch your money. You can live a reasonably happy life this way because happiness is not exclusively derived from money and or material things, even though that's part of it. You have enough money to cover the basics and some recreational things on the side, but you can't indulge your ultimate hedonistic fantasies at will on a whim. This is the highest most people will ever reach, even after a life of hard work. It's often good enough because the best things in life are not related to material wealth, namely, love, sex, inspiration, happiness, an inner feeling of being who you really are, following your true nature, expending the energy in your soul in an intense way on a near daily level to feel transcendent, and a few other aesthetic, creative things. These things do more for you than gobs of money because they create a positive feeling and positive identity within yourself, which money can't do. Most wealthy people are worth $1 million or so, own a comfortable house, a nice car, maybe 2 cars, can go on a trip when they want within reason, but don't live that impossible fantasy life we sometimes see in the media, someone with 3 or 4 mansions, their own jet, 40 plus cars, etc. This is materialistic excess. It doesn't necessarily lead to happiness, and it's a sin against humanity by virtue of the fact that one person has so much and uses it frivolously while others have so little and are dying every day because of hunger and poor medical treatment. It goes against the spirit of life, and anyone who lives like this knows they're violating the true spirit of the humanity they were supposedly born with. So the materialist, capitalist ideal is only good to a certain point of a reasonably comfortable lifestyle, but beyond that, it becomes pure greed, selfishness, superficialness, and frivolity, all sins of materialistic excess. So get real, live a good life while you strive for financial independence, as opposed to a fantasy of infinite wealth, which isn't all that life transforming if you get it anyway. Always take care of your soul, take care of your body, and live a comfortable life doing what you love to do without being selfish, excessive, or greedy about it, because what really gives you happiness day by day is the wisdom to know how to keep a strong powerhouse of inspired energy going all the time. What's the good of a lot of money if you just sit around and indulge your carnal pleasures by doing trivial things all the time? It doesn't make you feel good in your soul. It might be fun for a season, but sooner or later, if you want to live a truly good, happy, inspired life, you have to connect with your true soul and do what you really feel inside in order to release the spirit of life that lives inside of you. It's better to be reasonably comfortable materially and do what you really like to do rather than work at some venture you don't particularly like that earns you a lot of money. Don't spend money juicy cause you got it laying around as disposable income. Always save what you don't need, because you never know when the circumstances of your life will change and you're gonna need it just to get by. Too many people spend while the going is good, only to end up destitute when they go through the proverbial reversal of fortune. Just look at the life of Harold Robbins or Truman Capote, both one-time big-timers who eventually crashed and burned, and it wasn't just monetary loss. Oftentimes, it's the health that goes due to decadent living, and when this happens, all the money in the world can't help you. Decadent living is fine, but just for a while, as a break in between living a creative, healthy life, expending the natural inspired energy you feel within. Do work you love and do it well. Only then will success come. Live below your means. Save your money. Check your credit report every few years. Report any mistakes and dispute them. Live a simple lifestyle in all ways, even money. Talk to your wife about money decisions. Live life one step at a time. Books about rich people are at #332.0922 or HC110 at the library.